flow in my life. Be a warm embrace, a sacred prize. Heal my hurt, keep me safe, and wash me clean in this river of grace. Oh, wash me clean in this river of grace. Oh, the current is strong, too strong to swim, so I struggle on, and it pulls me in. When all strength is gone, then I'm free as the waters of grace wash over me. Oh, river of grace, flow in my life. Be a warm embrace, a sacred prize. Heal my hurt, keep me safe, and wash me clean in this river of grace. Oh, river of grace, flow in my life. Be a warm embrace, a sacred prize. Heal my hurt, keep me safe, and wash me clean in this river of grace, and wash me clean in this river of grace. Thank you. Thank you. Would you guys like one more before the Venerables get here? Okay. This song, I really love this song because you can hear it as a love song between just two people in love. But you can also hear it as a love song for us to one another. And in this time of so much stuff that is less than how we would have it in our world, sometimes we really need each other to just keep encouraged and keep up the good fight. And so hear this however you choose to hear it. When you're in a funk and feeling sad, when you think of it, it makes you mad. You just don't have the control you had, do you, baby? But when the night falls and you're all alone, and the crickets sing their courting song, and you know you want to sing along, call me, baby. We'll go dancing in the pale moonlight. We'll go flying on the magic carpet. We'll go floating on that river of love, sweet love. We'll go diving in the deep blue ocean. We'll go singing that sweet emotion. We'll go swimming with the sparkling dolphins. We'll forget all the bad stuff for now. Just forget it, let it go. But remember, yeah, remember, oh, remember the love. When life betrays your expectations, and everywhere you look it tests your patience, feels like you're being run through a ringer. But if you let yourself forget it, I got your back, babe, together we got this. 'Cause you and I are something, we're a force to be reckoned with, yeah, Let's go dancing in the pale moonlight. Let's go flying on my magic carpet. Let's go floating on that river of love, sweet love. Let's go diving in the deep blue ocean. Let's go singing that sweet emotion. Let's go swimming with the sparkling dolphins. We'll forget all the bad stuff for now. Just forget it, let it go. But remember, yeah, remember, oh, remember the love. We'll go dancing in the pale moonlight. We'll go flying on my magic carpet. We'll go floating on that river of love, sweet love. We'll go diving in the deep blue ocean. We'll go singing that sweet emotion. We'll go swimming with the sparkling dolphins. We'll forget all the bad stuff for now. Just forget it, let it go. But remember, yeah, remember, oh, remember the love. Okay, I got you one more that'll actually get us in the meditation mood. That one is a little worldly, not too, but... Oh, yay, they're here. Okay. Craving is the builder of this house. Craving is the builder of this house. Through many a rebirth in samsara wandering, I sought but could not find the builder of this house. How painful, how sorrowful to be born again and again. Craving is the builder of this house. Craving is the builder of this house. Oh, house builder, I see you at last. You will build your house no more. Your ridge poles have shattered, your rafters all fall down. My mind realizes the unborn, and craving comes, craving comes, craving comes to an end. Craving is the builder of this house. Oh, craving is the builder of this house. Oh, house builder, I see you at last. You will build your house no more. Your ridge poles have shattered, your rafters all fall down. My mind realizes the unborn, and craving comes, craving comes, craving comes to an end. Craving is the builder of this house.
Craving is the builder of this house. Good morning. We're so happy that Pannavati is here with us today. And I tell you, Pannavati, he loves everybody, right? Okay, let me just that caveat first before someone goes home feeling so unloved. He loves everybody, but he came for one person today. So it reminds me of a Christian song, and it's speaking of the Master Jesus as the Good Shepherd. Yeah, and he said, a shepherd had 1,000 sheep, and one strayed from the fold. He left the 99 just to bring that one sheep home, and he did it because he loved him. And so, there is a way of living in this world that when we catch a hold to the Dharma, that everything is seen and understood and felt, experienced and known through the Dharma Eye. That is the opening of the Dharma Eye, the Buddha calls it. And it's a gate that allows a deep, clear seeing. And then suddenly everything that happens in life, it doesn't seem like it's just coming out of nowhere, or that it's something that just happened and there's no rhyme or reason for it, or there's something that's happening and we don't know how to address it, how or what to do with it, that we are overcome by circumstances. There is it allows a way of living and moving and just having your being in the world as a part of the whole, whether it's an occasion of comfort or whether it's an occasion of discomfort. We just know that it folds within the totality of life. And so we have all of these lofty ways of putting things together and folding the words of the Dharma as to what they mean and all of that. But it really is about being able to walk through the 8 states of life with equanimity, praise and blame, loss and gain, pleasure and pain, shame and fame. That's it. But there's something that comes attached to that. That when we're at the place that, if we made that our only vow, to be able to approach every situation in life and every person in life that confronts us with clearly the 8 worldly states. If we worked at just calling that our practice and just doing that, then everything else that goes with it would automatically be there, would automatically manifest. The supernatural wisdom, the deep, unyielding compassion that we all either want from others or we want to give, but we fall so short of our goal and our desire. So I thought I would talk today on the Buddha's daily routine. Actually, this is a talk on Bodhicitta. Can you hear me? Yes. Okay. This is a talk on Bodhicitta, and that's the mind that is totally dedicated to others and achieving full enlightenment in order to benefit all sentience. Yeah. And really believing that this is fully possible, like we do what we do and we say, well, I did the best I could. But sometimes, our best, frankly, just isn't good enough. And most of the time, Westerners need to hear, you're doing the best you can, you're doing okay, you learn to love yourself. But sometimes you need to hear that other side, because after a while, it'll be like a limbo pole. How low can you go? And so to try to really bring us up catching that upward draft, that way leading upward, bringing us up into the highest and the best. Even so high, the Buddha said that we catapult ourselves out of the realm of the ordinary human, and we catapult ourselves into the lineage of the Buddhas, those with the awakened mind. And he said that this is possible. This is possible. We love martyrs and we love people who give their whole life, but that's for them. That's not for me. And so he's letting us know that it is possible if we have the desire. If we have the desire, you can best believe causes and conditions, the circumstances will arise that will allow you to perfect that. And that, of course, it means a lot of suffering until you choose not to suffer by the way you start to see and understand just the ordinary machinations of life. So, first I'll just give you the Buddha's daily routine. See, I think that the Buddha taught not just by precept. We always talk the rules, but he did more than just give rules. I think and there was not a rule put in place until there was a need for a rule in place. If you couldn't figure out how to walk through a situation, or how to, what reasonable restraint was, he helped you by developing a training guideline. So we think in terms of rules, but they were training guidelines. And the ones, of course, who wanted to be tamed were the ones who adhered then and adhere today, understanding the value of training guidelines. When I came to this when I came to the Dharma, I came because I was thinking to myself, the good I would do, I don't do. What I don't want to do, I do. And they told me all I needed to have was more love for Jesus, and that would filter down. And it didn't. It created more love this way, but this way was suspect. I didn't have a problem with them. I had a problem this way. And there was something that I needed, still need. You need it till you don't need it. And so, so still need is to be able to perfect my heart and my wisdom to the point that I become absolutely harmless in every action and in every activity. Quick to overlook a fault. Quick to apologize, choosing the way of peace and harmony and forgetfulness. We're always talking about mindfulness, but mindfulness also encapsulates forgetfulness, being able to forget something. You just have to let it go, And so it's more a way of letting go, because mindfulness can, in an undisciplined mind, mindfulness will trigger craving. It will trigger grasping. It will trigger holding and looking. It will do the exact opposite, or will produce the exact opposite of what it will produce in a mind that is following, all the tenets of the Dharma. And so to follow the tenets, of course, we have to know them. We have to know what they are. And that's and to know what they are takes a good deal of investigation. They say that they're 84,000 Dharma gates. Doesn't mean you have to learn all these 84,000 ways of entering in, but learn more than one. Learn some, and because the first one you learn, we usually don't go far from from home. So the first things we take up are things that we could reasonably see ourselves accomplishing, things that we already doing. It was like the rich young ruler who came to see Jesus by night, and he said, what must I do? And he said, to inherit, the kingdom. And he tells him to do all these things. And he said, I've done all those things since my birth. He said, one thing left. Go sell all you have and give it to the poor, and then come go with me. And he said, and he went away very sorrowful because his possessions were very great. You see, so we can practice all day long at our strong suit, but it's about going to the places that scare us. I mean, that's where the real growth is going to take place, and that means that we allow a certain amount of dis-ease for ourselves, you know, and we can expect a certain amount of internal disharmony, because there's that churning, that axing, that hacking up, that bringing up all of the habitual tendencies and the destructive ways of seeing and knowing and understanding things. All of that is happening internally, and it produces a big upset in the beginning. We have to know this, and we have to be committed to going through it. You know, it's even if you look at how big pharma has done, and they've come up with medicines, and you know, and then they tell you, well, you know, it's going to take care of this, but it might have a few side effects, you know, and it starts going to side effects. The difference between what is true and what is not true, though, is that when it is of low grade, low quality instruction and development, the side effects can kill you. But when it is of high quality, when it is organic and natural, then after that time of suffering, which is really about letting go of suffering, because all we've known to do is to grasp and hold on to our suffering. That's what makes me, me, because I can separate me from you. And any time I'm called upon then, you know, to step outside the boundary of what's comfortable and perfect and useful for me, I suffer a little bit until I don't. And I don't through continually dipping my toe in the water and seeing that there's no danger in the water. That I little by little begin to surrender my I-ness, you know, and begin to move towards that dwelling place of universal harmony. So, the Buddha's routine, and I have to you know, they used to call James Brown the hardest working man in show business. And there's another actor, I forget his name now, but he's in so many movies, you know, upon your deep, and I just laugh. One of them was Snakes on a Plane. What's this? Yeah. Yeah, I think he makes a movie a week. But I would have to consider the Buddha one of the hardest working, you know, people in monk business. You know, just a great spiritual teacher. But more than that, you know, he taught not only by precept, but by example. And he said, it is attributed to him, that he slept 1 hour a night, and sometimes an hour in the afternoon if he was exhausted. And the whole rest of the day he was occupied with his mission activities, except when he was attending to his personal needs, like showering, well, bathing, and eating. You know. And that he traveled away from his dwelling place, whichever monastery that he was residing in, 8 months of the year. So he spent 4 months stationary, and he traveled 8 months. And I remember when, you know, and maybe sometimes even now maybe to a lesser extent. People would be upset when I traveled, like, thinking that I don't care about the local Sangha. But that's not true. It is because of the local Sangha, you know. Because of your generosity and understanding what my mission is and what the mission is of one who would cross over to the other shore, that out of necessity they must enter into that call and they must go. And it is only selfishness that wants to hold someone like us and nobody else. But to freely allow the going forth and sharing the merit, finding the joy in spreading the Dharma. I'll tell you, there's a lot of Buddhist teaching out here, but I'm not sure that the majority of it is really the Dharma. I mean, if you leave out the salient features because you don't want people to be upset with you, if you leave out the hard part so that they can't really, it keeps people from really growing and developing. And of course, we've lost people. They go this far and say, I can't go any further with that. We're like, no, I don't want to do that. And they stop. I mean, even if you don't want to do it right now, don't stop. In 3 years, it will make so much sense to you. It will be your heart's desire to step into that level of selflessness, So I say, don't stop, And so the Buddha was like this. 8 months of the year he was away, and then 4 months he really like kind of cloistered and gave time, to the local Sangha wherever he was at that time. And his inner life was one of meditation, and it was concerned primarily with the experience of nibbanic bliss. That's all he talks about, was entering into nibbana, entering into the jhanas, coming to the absolute stilling of thought, and doing that by the way of arousing joy and bliss. He said until it was moving up and down his body in torrents, in waves washing over. I don't know but a few people who meditate and have any eye for that or any idea about or any mind about that, because we're so into mindfulness or a kind of concentration that is really focused on us and our life. That's pretty much our take on it. How to be happier with our spouses, with our family, with our things, with our jobs, with our sense of ourself. It's but he said my Dharma is hard to see and hard to understand, and it's for those who have little dust in their eyes. Now here's the thing: we can come to this thinking like, we are so blind. There's no way. I'm like, I don't even believe that, But that's okay, because at the time that we come with a limited view and a limited even understanding of the totality of our own intrinsic nature. We can't even remember what we did yesterday, much less last lifetime. And so we only see like the tip of the iceberg, I think that's what sunk the Titanic. I could be wrong, but it was. You have just this little bit here that we see and know and understand as ourselves and as the world, but you got all of this underground where we can't see it, and we run into that. We slam full frontal into that, and we don't understand why we sunk, because the tip of the iceberg was way over there. I could see it. I wasn't even going close to that. But here's the thing. It says that to even be drawn towards this means now is the time. And having confidence in that when you're not feeling, good enough, when you're not feeling that, maybe they were going good there for a while and then they started, it just too extreme for me. And it's really not extreme. But it's more like we are, instead of being like a cord, we're more like a rubber band, and we can stretch stretch and stretch. The thing is, you keep pulling on a rubber band. After a while, the rubber band actually stretches, and it never goes back to its original shape. It becomes enlarged. Its capacity has been increased just simply by the stretching and then just letting it relax. Stretching and then just letting it relax. And this is how we can walk through the Dharma, stretching ourselves and then just relaxing. And if we look, we'll see we're making progress. And then we can have confidence in both the Dharma and in the Dharma in us. So we have confidence in ourselves. My master called it the master power inside. And so his day was divided. I want to say something about the nirvanic bliss. It was it was the nutriment for the selfless service and the moral upliftment that the Buddha provided to the world. And it's the same for us. Somebody said to me one time, well, if it's not fun, why do it? And I was so upset. I said, that is such a wrong view. I mean, you do it because it's there to be done, and you see it. You have the capacity to do it. I mean, it doesn't have to be fun. You just do it. And so that's true on one level, that it doesn't have to be fun. But on another level, there's something beyond fun that's akin to fun, but it is totally not connected to fun. And it is a manner of entering into the bliss of life that allows you to do that which is enjoyable and that which is not enjoyable with the same mind. And so knowing that this is possible, and you say, I don't see how those people just keep going on. I don't see how they can, take so much, how they can undergo so much. How, there is a, like just keeping going. And what keeps you going is this joy in the Dharma. It's a kind of unworldly joy. It's not the one that makes you going around happy all the time. It's not like that. That's more of a contrived joy to kind of pump yourself up into it. But I'll tell you, I used to say, like, we had a song said, if you got the old time religion, you ought to show some sign, because I was at one stage I was Pentecostal and we wore black all the time, long dresses, hat, and we never smiled. And but what I was inheriting in that practice, it was a very, disciplining kind of practice, But although the outward discipline was very difficult, inwardly I would be abounding with joy. So I'm trying not to be happy, not to smile, because everybody else looked like sad sacks. But I was like just leaping over tall buildings in a single bound inside, and it would come out a lot, and so I get fussed at a lot, and I'm like, never you mind, doesn't bother me, like, oops, sorry, and then I'd like straighten up, not just say those old men, and which is why I could come to such a patriarchal, tradition as this and not be bothered by it at all, because I've already gone through that. I'm not going to go through it again and again. You go through it once, you see something for what it is, you see where the ignorance is, you do the best you can to help them out, but you don't lose yourself. You just keep going, So I don't have to walk around with banners and placards about patriarchy and misogyny and all of this. I know that's out there, but it's out there where? It's out there in ignorant minds, and we have the wisdom of how to maneuver around, how to accomplish something, how to get something done. Not going to change everybody's mind. Some people just have to die and fall off the scene for there to be change. I mean, you just have to know that if you live in this world. That's just like a grown-up knowing, And so we learn how to duck and dodge, bob and weave and roll with the punches, and to not be overcome by the situations and circumstances in life, but try to perfect something within ourselves. And then when we have, each one teach one. That's how we're going to make change. We can write laws. We can put people in place in government and say they can choose for us. Well, this is what happens when they do. We may not be happy with all the choices, but it's more than that. It's each one of us having a personal accountability for ensuring, our own sense of fairness and being able, skillful enough, developed enough, cultivated enough to get that across to someone else. Maybe only through our lifestyle, maybe never through words or instruction or whatever, but just in them observing how we ourselves handle the vicissitudes of life, right? And so in the morning, his morning started at 6 a.m. and from 6 to noon, it said the virtuous sought him out. The virtuous sought him out, but he deliberately ministered to or sought out those who were vicious and impure. So that means sometimes, like in a community like this, when there's somebody really acting out, and I'm saying leave him alone, for now, give that one a chance. And you're like, why are they here? Because they really need it. They need to be here. Maybe they've never had any love shown to them at all. And maybe we show love to them, but, they couldn't take the whole thing. They could only bite off a chunk, And so that's all they could get in this one experience, and they go someplace else. And where they have 99% bad memory, bad history in their life, they got that 1% good, And maybe in that place they're received, and they get to bite off another chunk of acceptance and goodness. And after all, if there are enough places, the person will reach that tipping point, and they'll know that there is another way to think, to be, and to respond in this world. And they will give back what they've been receiving. And so one might plant, another waters, but neither one of us may see the harvest. So what? We still do the best that we do, knowing what we have done. And so it said that the virtuous sought him out to inquire, to ask questions, to receive a meditation object, things like that, to gain confidence, to just help promote and develop them in their spiritual growth or for direction. He said, but he sought out those that were vicious and impure. And he said, and early in the morning, he surveyed the world with his divine eye to see who he could help. He surveyed the world with his divine eye. Now, some of us, until we enter into something directly, can't really comprehend, I remember the story about when the ships were coming. But I believe somebody can correct me if I'm wrong. Have the wrong explorer, discoverer, like. It was there. The discovery was on his part, not on. Okay, but when was it Christopher Columbus, and they said that as the ships were coming, that they didn't see them because they didn't have a reference for that. So there are many things that we encounter, and we just absolutely can't see it because within our narrowly confined view and perceptions, we have no reference for it. And so when there is talk about a psychic eye, one that can see in other places, or clairaudience that can hear sounds close and far. Unless you had that experience, you might not believe that. But there've been enough who have had that experience to know that it's true. It's just something that you may not know about. But anyway, he said that there he would survey the whole world. So sometimes we talk about others, and particularly there's a lot of conversation going around now, and some based on historical data of even Jesus being in Tibet, and and really encountering Buddhist teachings and so forth, and I can certainly say for sure that there were the merchants traveling along the Silk Road, and the city that he lived in right there on the coast was a port, and they said the people would always be coming out to see what was the latest teaching, what was the latest news and the latest spiritual teachings. And so there are many different ways that one could have encountered a teaching that was on even the other side of the world. It didn't have to always travel there. Sometimes the news traveled here, but then the Buddha said also with the divine eye he could survey and he could see who he could help. And he said, if one needed his personal assistance uninvited, he'd go. Sometimes by foot and sometimes using his psychic powers, and converting to the right path. So, there is this thing about when the teacher calls from afar. I remember the time that one of my teachers showed up at our door. Panya Deep will tell you is the truth. And I didn't know who he was. He knocked on the door and he couldn't even speak English. He was from outer Mongolia or inner Mongolia, and a Chinese interpreter was with him, and he just simply asked, could I accompany him to, I think it was Warren Wilson College, that he was giving a talk that night for one of his students who was a teacher there. So I said, sure, I'll go. He was dressed like Tibetan, and we went, and when we went, he kept giving me attention, and it was really pissing his student off. He had all of it, rightfully so. He had all of his students, there from all of his classes. And yet he made him go sit out in the audience and me sit up there beside him. And I kept saying, no. That's for your teacher. He wouldn't go beyond that point unless I sat up there. And so I sat up there so we could just get on with it. Because sometimes things just get too embarrassing. You just make a big just different. Oh no. You just go and sit. And so, and then when it was over, that was it. I went home. And he went where he went, which happened to be back down to Emory University. And that was it. But sometime later, I went to Mongolia. And I was like a year later, at least a year, yeah. And I'm sightseeing, I go to the Ganden Temple, and it's huge complex. And in addition to the main temple, the one that visitors can go in, they have all these smaller temples all over the compound. And there are places you can go on the grounds and places you can't go, that are not open to the public. And I keep being drawn over to this small temple, but it's not open to the public. There's a ribbon that says do not enter, and I'm trying to look all inside to see what might be in there that keeps drawing me in some kind of way. So after a couple of days, I just give up, and I'm getting ready to go home the next day. And I said, you know what? I wonder if I could track down that monk that came to see me, you know. And so I called the like the visitors bureau, something like that. And this guy answers the phone that says, I know this sounds strange, but a year ago or so, there was a monk who accompanied the Dalai Lama to the U.S., to Emory University, and I was trying to track him down. I don't even remember his name. I don't remember exactly when it was. And the voice said, Pannavati, is that you? And I said, yeah. Who is this? He said, this is John. He said, I was the interpreter for Kun Sambo. Now I realize why I forgot that name, Kun Sambo. You know, it just, I just like erased that one, you know. And so he says, yeah. He says, where are you? I said, I'm here, and I was getting ready to leave tomorrow, and I just threw this out as a last-ditch effort. He said, I'll come pick you up, and I'll take you to see him. I said, okay. And so he comes and picks me up, and he takes me to see him. And you know where he lived, right? He lived in that temple that had that was closed to the public. And when I came in, he said, through his interpreter, good. He said, you go by, and I have it on my altar today, a little Kuan Yin statue at the gift store. I said, oh, yeah, they ain't making money, you know, and he told me which one to buy, and it was the expensive one, right? It was, because he told me, you go with her, you pick out the one. I said, okay, I know what this is. But anyway, you know, like these are circumstances happening, right? You know, and so he takes me to get it, and they cut open the bottom of it, and they bring it. And I come back to him, and he starts to write out a prescription for me. He writes out something for me to do. That's what I mean by prescription. And he gave me a mantra that I needed to say. You know, and I needed to say this mantra for 3 days. And he gave me a couple of other little things to do. And then he gave me a copy of it. It was written on navy blue paper with a red pen. So it was almost impossible to even see it. I had to have a really bright light because that was the only paper he had around in his room. And by the way, you know, his room and his office and where he met people, everything is the same in the same place, you know, right there in their bedroom, you know. And so, and it's where I lost my inhibition of being, you know, even close to a male monk. I said, folk need to get over that. You know, because I saw how some people, and they just collapsed the space, and in that one room was everything. He ate, he slept, he studied, he saw his students, everything in that one room, you know. And so, so I kind of got like that too, you know. It was economy of space, and it was very good. And so, so I went back home. And I didn't touch the thing for a while. You know, you like to have these experiences. You just don't want to have to follow up. You know, it's you just like to have the experience. So, and I just put it all away, you know, something like that. And so one of my students comes to see me, and he brings me this book. And he says, what you think about this book, Pannavati? You know, and we're like, mutually looking, you know, to see what else there is to know and so forth. And that's when it gets really exciting when you're students, when they're searching and you're searching, and they bring you something that, it's so sweet. And so, and it talks about this 3-day kind of ritual that you do for a person who's it's for a person who's dying in 3 days, and they have these things to do for these 3 days, you know. Then I'm thinking that looks a little bit like the thing that he gave me, you know. So I run digging out of my suitcase and look at it. It absolutely is. Now, he had given it to me 6 days ago. You know, I had just come home, and 3 of the days were gone, and 3 days were left. And I hurry up, and I did that, you know, and I'm still here. Now, you could say, oh, none of that had anything to, I don't care what you say. But I know in my heart of hearts something then about when the teacher calls from afar. Because what he said to me when I was there was, he said, Pannavati, you were my student in a past life. He said, and I came to you, but I couldn't tell you what was coming for you. He said, I came to try to toggle your memory so that you would remember me and seek me out, because you have to seek me out to get this. And that's my story. I mean, it's just a story, but it's a true story, you know. Now, we talk about anecdotal evidence. That need to have that means absolutely nothing to me, because I had the direct experience of something. And it's my job to unpack all of that, you know. But I absolutely had it, and it doesn't need to be able to be repeated, you know. And so it's something like that. So perhaps, you know, no one had to travel along the Silk Road even. No one had to go over to India even, because, you know, maybe the Buddha just appeared in their dream. The Buddha just showed up for them, you know. And this master power needs vehicle, you know, a manifested vehicle. Could be me, could be you. For this wisdom to flow, for the current to move, to meet and bring up a vibration until they're moving on the same frequency. And on that frequency, you can hear something, like maybe what your dog hears that you can't hear. On that frequency, you can see something that maybe others around you can't see. It's not about having eyes to see or ears to hear. It's about what frequency you're on. So that's what he did in the morning. And then he would go on alms rounds, or if he was invited for a meal, he'd eat that meal, and then he'd give a really short talk to encourage or gladden the hearts of those that fed him. And he also would give them the precepts if they asked during this time. That's between 6 a.m. and noon. In the afternoon, he would take a seat in the monastery or the teaching hall or whatever, and the renunciates, not the lay people, but the renunciates would gather to listen for an exposition of the Dharma. After he gave them the exposition, they went off by themselves and meditated to perfect whatever it was they were trying to perfect. He said, basically, don't take my time to do that. That's your work. You know, like he said, like, I got mine, you know. And so he would give them what they needed to feed the mind and to open the heart. And then they had to go and work on that, you know. So I say, for people who want to come and sit, I mean, you can sit. You can sit at home. You can sit here. We sit on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday at 5 o'clock. You don't need me to sit here with you, you know. But you can come and sit. If you need other people, it's wonderful. And if you can sit alone, it is also wonderful. And so in the afternoon, then some approached him to receive suitable objects of meditation according to their temperaments, and others to pay respect to him. And then they retired to their cells or to their cabins or to the root of a tree or somewhere and did their meditation. And during this time, the 6 hours in the afternoon, he said that if he had an opportunity, he would lay down and rest. And the different incenses were burned to purify the environment. Now, everybody in the West has an allergy to this, an allergy to that, and they can't tolerate. But the purpose was not just for something to smell sweet, but that these incenses have different properties, of clearing, of healing, and if we could actually begin to tolerate them, it would support us in our work. Nevertheless, you can get some. And I was wondering the other night, because we were going to watch a movie in my room, and I have certain incense that I burn in my room. And I said, okay, somebody going to come in here and say, oh, I can't tolerate the incense. And nobody did, thankfully, even though it may have bothered someone. But it's for purifying, it's for uplifting, it's for cleansing, it's for creating a sense of spaciousness. All of these essences, these, and the plants and the trees from which they're derived have certain properties that are useful and beneficial for us. And so he would go there, and then he said that, and then he would once again, on arising, he would spend an hour attaining and abiding in the ecstasy. I like that word, in the ecstasy of maha, or great compassion. The ecstasy of great compassion. It gives you something to aspire to. We talk about being compassionate, like, oh, this is my burden to bear. Being compassionate, but when it becomes exquisite like that, when it has that kind of quality, that it's absolutely, it's sheer ecstasy to be compassionate. So that gives you some track for your train to run on, right? Doesn't it? Because I can grade mine today. My compassion on a scale of 1 to 100, might be middling, and sometimes it might go all the way. Sometimes it's not coming out of the gate. But to be in a perpetual state, of being able to arouse the maha, the great compassion, and until you describe it as sheer ecstasy, then that's what I'm looking for. So he would do that. And then after coming out of that meditation, so now he's talking about two. One is the jhanas, right? Coming to the absolute stilling of thought and entering into the vastness of the emptiness, coming beyond time, space and time. That's what allowed the appearances in different places and two places at one time and all of that, because the whole structure of appearances shifts. And then the maha, the great compassion. It says, and then he would direct his mind, his attention to the ones who were practicing, the ones who were in their hut at the root of a tree or whatever, practicing. And it said thereby his psychic power, he would instruct them in a non-physical way. So am I clearing up something for a few people in here? Then he said, in that towards the evening, the lay followers would flock to hear the Dharma. And perceiving their innate tendencies and temperaments with his Buddha eye, he would preach to them for about 1 hour. And each member of the audience, though differently constituted, would think that the Buddha's sermon was directed in particular to them. It was just what I needed to hear. And such was the Buddha's method of expounding the Dharma. And he explained things in an unpretentious, relaxed, conversational way with illustrations and analogies. To the average man, he spoke of generosity and discipline and heavenly bliss. To the more advanced, he cautioned about sensual and material pleasures. That means overextending, taking in too much through the eye gate, the ear gate, through sight, sound, smells, touch, taste, and thinking. And he taught on the great blessing of renunciation, of letting go, of fewness of wishes for contentment. And to the highly advanced, he expounded the Four Noble Truths. Now, one problem we have in America is we came here starting with the Four Noble Truths. So honestly, the foundation was not laid and the qualifications not met to be able to really penetrate the teachings. So, but because that's how it's out there, we have to work with it like how it was thrown out there, and we have to lay the foundation. So we're having to do two of these things at one time. Okay. And then we went, and by this time it's 6 o'clock. At 6 o'clock, the first watch of the night extended from 6 to 10. And that was reserved only for those who had planned to practice throughout the night. They came with their deep questions to get their doubts cleared, but they were putting in that extra effort to practice throughout the night. In the middle watch, which was 10 p.m. to 2 a.m., celestial beings such as the Devas and the Brahmas, who are invisible to the ordinary physical eye, would approach the Buddha to question him about things. And an often recurring passage in the suttas is, now when the night was far spent, a certain Deva of surpassing splendor would come to the Buddha, respectfully salute him, and stand to one side, and he would ask this question. You can read about a lot of them in the Samyutta Nikaya. And the last watch was from 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. was divided into 4 parts. The first part he spent walking. That was his exercise, walking back and forth for 1 hour. Like we have crafted a kind of walking meditation now where we will, live, move, place, shift, live, and we do this like kind of slow, kind of, like we've made something up here. It wasn't exactly what the Buddha had. It was exercise. It was to keep the body energetic and moving because they did so much meditation. Now we've got this 45-minute sit, 45-minute walk, slow walking, like one foot placed in front of the other, 45-minute sit, 45-minute walk. I'm just saying that it's just something we came up with, so don't get too attached to that kind of thing. Or you'll spend 20 years trying to get enlightened and you never came out of the gate, and so he would do his walking exercise, and then the next hour he would lay down and he'd sleep on his right side. The next hour he would enter into jhana for an hour, and then the next hour he would attain again the ecstasy of great compassion, and he'd start his day over again, getting up now, surveying the world. Who is it that needs his help? And so that was his life. And so when I was looking to see what the instructions from the Buddha was on how to live out this life and how to really come into, I saw changes needed to be made in my life. And over the course of the years, I made and making those changes one by one for the increasing of my own joy and for the usefulness to other beings. And this is the development of the mind of Bodhicitta, that mind that is dedicated, totally dedicated to others. In order to achieve and to benefit all living beings, and needing then embracing a higher mind and a vaster heart for that purpose. Of course, when you do it, you also benefit as well. But it's like, it's a matter of whether you're coming or whether you're going. And so the Bodhicitta mind, we talk about the 10 in Theravada, the 10 perfections, and they've been kind of synthesized in the Mahayana to 8. And it's generosity, moral discipline, patience, meditative absorption, and wisdom. And but it's the kind of generosity that's acted out in charity and graciousness, overlooking a fault. You know, that's the attitude, that's the inner mind of this kind of generosity. It's not just giving, it's not just doing something. It's how you give it, and it's how you do it. It's the reverence with which you give it. It is the ascribing of worth or value in which, you know, through which it is offered, and particularly the graciousness, recognizing the preciousness of generosity itself. Not I am generous, but recognizing the quality, being consumed by the quality of generosity itself. And then the moral discipline, it's more than just being disciplined, you know, like I do this on time, I can press in and keep my commitments, I can do it, I have that steadiness, you can count me responsible, reliable, and I won't let anything get in the way of me meeting my goal or my objective or keeping my word, you know. But it's more than that. It's a moral discipline that's committed to harmony in word and action. And sometimes the commitment to harmony means absolutely getting off of your regiment. Sometimes the commitment to harmony, you know, means how do I handle a misunderstanding or a grievance with dignity and respect for myself and for the other person. You see, so it's not like just becoming militarized that, you know. So sometimes when I look at or I appoint someone to to a position, it's not because they are so reliable in a certain way, but because they're truly committed to harmony, you know, and and so I can trust that, you see. You have to use your proved weapons when you go to battle. When David went and they put all this armor on him, he's going to kill Goliath, and that stuff was weighing him down, a sword he could hardly pick up. He said, I can't use this stuff. And he began to strip out all that. He went in his pocket, got his little slingshot, and got three smooth stones. And that's how he slayed the giant, you know, with his proved weapons. And so sometimes then, this whole self-discipline is disciplining ourselves to what's arising in the moment. That's the thing I have against people who plan things out and then try to make everybody stick to the plan that they laid out, you know, because life doesn't unfold that way. Things happen in the course of the day that shift our plans all around. It's okay to make plans, you know. You just can't be attached to them. Patience, but not patience like tolerating, you know, but patience that has like a sweetness, you know, that has a sweet essence to it. A kind of patience that one can, you know, like there was a song came out, I forgot who sang it. It said, but I want a love that I can feel. That's the only kind that I think is real. Don't want to love you have to tell me about that kind. I can do without. You know, it's something like that. So we're talking about patience in that sense. You know, it's like, oh, I'm practicing patience. It's not like that, but it has a certain sweetness with it that a person can really feel, you know, your patience. It can touch them deeply and give them a little confidence. You know, can give them the strength, you know, to carry on or to not be shamed by some unbeneficial action that they did when you're applying this patience. Not like you should be so glad that I'm being patient with you, you know, but one that they don't even have to think about. They're feeling so comforted, you know, that their suffering is secured. You know, it's like that. Enthusiastic perseverance. And that means like we just keep starting over, okay? That's it. No way around it. We have to get up and start over again. We have to get up and start over with that relationship. We have to get up and start over without trying to understand something that I went to bed not understanding. You know, so I wake up today not with I didn't understand it yesterday, I don't understand it today, and I won't understand it tomorrow. It's like getting up, trying again to see if there's some deeper wisdom I can pull up, you know, that will help me understand what just happened. You know, and why did that happen? Or how did that come about? You know, and what can I do better next time instead of looking at, oh me, poor me, I made such a big mistake, you know, and come back, oh me, poor me, I made such a big mistake. And it's like this broken record, you know, because we're focused on me, you know. But it's that kind of starting over, giving yourself permission to keep starting over, and giving others the opportunity to keep starting over. And I'm almost finished. Meditative absorption catapults us from mundane delusional appearances, you know, to the vast true nature of things. And that's where the insight comes from, you see. We want insight, but he talked about how insight arises. First, there has to be the blasting through of the concretization of everything through jhanic bliss, you know, and then otherwise our insight comes with a little bit of what's that word, cynicalness. Our insight comes with, you know, wrapped up in intelligentsia. Our insight comes with, you know, there's a contrived aspect to it because we've used our most rudimentary elements to try to understand spiritual truth. And then, of course, wisdom. Wisdom is sort of like just the spontaneous knowingness of things, you know. When it all starts to sift and meld and gel, it's like we start with 1,000-piece puzzle. I don't even know how people work with them. You know, Kay likes to do it. She puts it on the table. I wait till she's got like 5 pieces left, and then I come over to that's my wisdom. I wait until 5 pieces, because until then we're not having fun. You know, it's like, you know. And and then you can just look at that. Oh, I know. Done. You know. So it's something like that. That I tell you the truth. That bit by bit, all these little fragmented sound bites of wisdom do fold together, and the puzzle can be understood, and every piece can be put in place. I think I'm going to stop right there. I guess the word to stress today is practice. Now, the last Dharma talk, I told you throw that word out that day. Because I was saying, you know, nobody wants to just practice all the time. You know, if you're practicing for something. At some point, you want to get in the game. And that whole idea of nothing to do and nowhere to go, you know, that's fine when you're practicing. But But when you're in the game, there is something to do and somewhere to go. You don't stand on the 50-yard line and just stay there. You're trying to make it across the goal, and you got to go in the right direction too, because there's two goals, right? So that day I was talking about throw away that word practice. Today I'm talking about understanding that word practice. Not just thinking about generosity, but practicing it. Not just thinking about moral self-discipline, but actually being committed to harmony, which means at the moment when we're on opposite poles, exactly how does harmony fit in there? Finding out where harmony fits in, developing, pulling up a harmonizing thought or mind, cultivating harmony, accepting defeat and giving the victory to the other. Just holding the misunderstanding. I'm not you're going to understand my side of this. No, forget it. Not able to understand at this time. Just holding that. No, I don't care how many times you try to explain what you were originally intending or what was really happening. The other sees it some way through their eyes, and that's just it. That's their story, and they're sticking to it. So to try to tell them they didn't see what they thought they saw, it's madness. So we have to just let that be for now. It's things like that. And so I say practice hard. And then after you practice, actually get in the game of life. The Buddha taught by precept and example. This was his example. He devoted 2 hours a day to himself, and the rest for the happiness of the worldlings. May you be well and happy and peaceful. May no harm come to you, no danger. May you always be able to meet with the inevitable difficulties of life.